What is your biggest financial concern? Are you being as intentional with your finances as you could be? How confident are you that you'll reach your financial goals? How will life's transitions impact your financial plan? Welcome to the Clarity and Confidence for Life podcast with Tom Fleishel, founder, president, and CEO of Fleishel Financial Associates. Discover how we can help business owners, successful families, and corporate executives achieve clarity and confidence for life while providing tailored financial solutions that eliminate complexity and free you up to focus on what really matters in life to you and your family. Now, on to the show.
Welcome to the Clarity and Confidence for Life podcast with your host, Tom Fleishel. I'm RJ Malik, producer of this podcast. Tom, as always, great to see you. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Okay. I see you have a guest, so let's not hesitate. Let's get to it. Why don't you introduce your guest and then tell us what you'll be discussing on this edition of Clarity and Confidence for Life.
Awesome. Thank you. Today's guest is Omar Andreasen. He's a seasoned real estate professional and founder of the Andreasen Group, based here in Central Florida at wonderful Celebration, Florida, right outside of Disney, right?
That is correct.
So with over a decade of experience, Omar has successfully guided local, national, and multinational clients through real estate acquisitions totaling more than $50 million in both commercial and residential transactions. His approach is simple yet powerful. He puts people first. I love it about Omar's experience in that he spans not only the residential real estate and transaction management, but investment properties, short-term rentals, and listing strategies. He's built a thriving business through repeat clients and referrals, proof of the trust and results he consistently delivers. So, whether you're buying, selling, investing, or developing, Omar is passionate about helping you reach their goals. So I want to dive in first, Omar, about, you like to say you put people first, and believe that's important here too, but it shows in your success. So what does that exactly mean to you? What does putting people first look like in your day-to-day work?
One of the things that we discuss here within the group is how would you want to be treated? When we're going through certain transactions, whether it's the seller side, developer side, buyer, I always tell people tell the agents, put yourself in their shoes right now. Imagine what they're going through this, and what is it that we can do to make this process maybe a little bit smoother that another agent has never thought about before.
Okay, that's good. So it's all about trying to be different and differentiate yourself in terms of how you approach the business. A lot of people get started in real estate and just don't last very long. What motivated you? What inspired you to get in the real estate and start the Andreasen Group?
It's funny. So it's my senior year in football, and my fullback at the time, his parents were big developers in the area, and it started coming down to what is it that you want to do as your career. So, and one day we had to help them out. I spent the night at his house, and then we had to help the family out, and I kind of fell in love with the whole process of how the real estate, how I saw them do real estate, what I saw them do. And then I'm like, man, you know what? This is something that I think I can get behind on. So from there is when I kind of started looking into it a little bit more. On top of that, my love for history, because to me, real estate and history go hand in hand, because one of the things that we like to do here is always tell a story. So whether especially if we have a property that's going up for sale, let's tell the story about the area. Let's tell the story about the house, because pretty much everything does have a story. So that's how my love and passion for real estate kind of just kicked off from there.
Okay, so football translated into real estate.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. So love of the game then made me love another game.
So, okay, a lot is happening in our area. I mean, we're exploding with the growth coming in. So what, obviously, a lot of things are driving that, trends that you're seeing. What are some of those trends? What are some of the reasons why so much is happening where we are?
I think Florida was already a big market anyways. But then once COVID hit, I think people then really started. That's when everyone's like, you know what? Let's start looking at other states, and Florida was obviously one of them with the big boom that we had here. And then now, in my opinion, I think we'll be hitting another boom here possibly in the next 6 to 8 months. One of the main reasons being because I don't know if you heard, but our governor wants to get rid of property taxes.
How in the world are we going to pay for anything if he gets rid of property taxes?
Our sales tax will go up.
Yeah.
Our sales tax will go up. Obviously, we don't have a state income tax. So you know what? And maybe they might add a state income tax to it. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm like, you know what? And I know the three states that we're looking at it were New Jersey, Florida, and Pennsylvania. So now that it hit the ballot, I have a feeling I think it will pass. And I think if that passes, I think you're gonna see another boom as well hitting the market on top of some other political things that are happening outside of the state of Florida. Been speaking to a lot of friends and clients that live in New York area, and they're like, well, you know what? If a certain somebody comes in to into the position of mayor, we're out. So once again, you have some. I think there's many different things that you're going to start seeing. And I'm telling my buyers, I'm like, listen, at the moment right now, it is a buyer's market. You're pretty much getting incentive. The seller is giving you concessions, but and of course you have Powell. He'll be out in the end of May. So the Trump organization's already said, you know, we don't want him back. And whoever we put in, we want to make sure that we actually have interest rates that can help the economy, push the economy forward. So I think with all three of those things, I have a feeling that next year, probably by the end, you're going to start seeing a really big boom in Florida again. And fortunately, that will help the sellers, not the buyers. Right now, if you are buying and if you're thinking of buying and you're listening to this, you need to make a move quickly before that turns, because you've always heard it. Everyone's like, well, I'll just wait till next year, or I'll wait 6 to 8 months, and then all of a sudden it's 2 or 3 years later. And then, well, that house that was 300,000 is now 330, 340,000, right?
So how do you guide clients, through these uncertain and competitive markets? What are some ways that you help them overcome some of those procrastination challenges, let's say?
We kind of have a sit down with them and ask them what's important right now. What's important in the future? What is the reasoning why you want to buy a house? And then from there, we kind of guide them, because, listen, not everyone's made to buy a house. Some people, they're like, well, with your situation, maybe it's not best that you invest right now. Maybe it's better for you to rent at the moment. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's really sitting down, listening to them, and trying to help them and guide them the best you can. But listening to them, I think, is the most important thing.
So suppose I'm a first-time buyer. I want to maybe break into the commercial market. What's one piece of advice you always give to somebody like that that's trying to put their toe in the water and feel out a new, different area of markets?
Commercial market. Whew. All right. Something I was taught by my mentor, and he said, when residential market is down, commercial is up, and then vice versa. When residential is up, commercial is down. So look at the market that you're in right now. Number one, go with your gut. Number two, I just had someone on our podcast show not too long ago, and she was a very seasoned commercial investor. And she mentioned one of her number one rules. Her number one rule was go with your gut first. Look at the numbers at least 5 to 6 times. Make sure that they make sense. Speak to the city officials. See kind of what's going on in the area to make sure that there's nothing that's going to impact that commercial investment of whatever area that you're looking to go into. Look at the CAMs, look at the different property management companies that you'll be working with and interview them. See what their numbers are. See what they're coming up with, and make sure that that's covering at least 5% above whatever your mortgage might be on that. Also, too, what is the market telling you? Depending now, let's say that you want to buy a office space per se. Well, office spaces right now have traditionally gone down tremendously. So make sure that you buy something in a commercial area that you can at least transform to 2 to 3 different things. If there's some kind of shift that happens within us, I mean, COVID is a perfect example. People all of a sudden now are more on video. We don't need to see each other face to face all the time. Now it's pretty much the communication of video. So that's one of those things. So kind of put yourself in that position. If you went through COVID, what are some things that you can possibly, if you got that office space or looking at the commercial, what are the other things that you can do and pivot to make sure that the investment makes sense and it covers your mortgage and you still make money?
So, how do you help clients feel confident and informed through the transaction process? What are some things you do alongside through that whole process?
We are heavy, heavy, heavy over communicators. So I think that's the main thing. One of the things that we do, even when you're listing or selling with us, I introduce you to our whole team. So you meet the transaction coordinator, you meet the marketing person, but actually, and then you meet our head admin, and then of course you have me. So we introduce the team within the email, let them know, hey, this is who does what within the team. So don't be surprised if they reach out to you, touch base with you, and then pretty much we let them know when they're going to hear from us. So they're going to hear from the team at least once or twice a week about the whole process, whether it's selling or buying. They're going to hear from me at least every 14 days because we set it to where every 14 days we're going to reach out to that seller and say, okay, listen, here's a quick market snapshot. Here's what we have going on. This is what I see in your area. What's changing? What's not changing? Where do we need to pivot when it comes to your pricing? Because at the moment, if you're just sitting still on the market, you're pretty much dead. So if we're not getting any action within 14 to 21 days, we know that the market's telling us something and we need to start pivoting. So we definitely over communicate and make sure that we're always informing our clients and letting them know along the process where they're at.
Can you share a story of maybe how you've helped a client overcome a major challenge, in your work? Anything like that that comes to mind?
Hmm. Actually, yeah, we just had one. So we just had a closing yesterday. Single mother with a daughter, and so one of the things that we had a challenge was where she's an educator. So we had to look at a couple of things. We had to look at how can we help her with some closing costs. We had after the closing costs, then we had issues with the home because then we had some termites that came up on the inspections. So what we started doing is we started thinking outside the box. We started speaking to the seller, say, "Hey, listen, she really wants the home. Here's what's going on." We were very open with the seller, and uh, there were issues that came up with the termites, and the seller was obviously not happy about it. In fact, they didn't think it was true. So what we had to do is, and we reached out to three different companies to have termite inspections on the property, just so we can kind of see, okay, you know what? Let's not argue with the seller. Let's kind of look into it a little bit better. So after we looked at it, seller agreed. Seller then decided to give her another 4 grand. So seller decided to give her 9 grand towards closing costs, which covered everything for her. Then the seller even went a little bit further and even left some furniture for them because it was their first time buying a house, so they really didn't have any money to go out and buy furniture.
Wow, that's nice. Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. And then from there, our team for the closing, we pretty much we gave her like some sheets, pillows. We got him some pots and pans, forks. We got the little girl some toys for closing gift. But that one there sticks out to me that it just like this one just closed yesterday because it was one of those that we didn't know if we were going to get it across, but with just the communication all the way through from the lender, with the buyer, with the seller. We made it work. And instead of arguing with the seller, we're like, hey, let's just provide a little bit more information because obviously the seller didn't want to hear that. But let's provide some more information. Let's make the seller feel comfortable and let them know where we're at. And we're not trying to run away from the deal, that we really want to make this go forward.
Yeah, we have a lot of clients that own rental properties. And one of the things I try to help them understand is, and the accountants don't always do a great job of this, is well, you have your income and you've got all your expenses, you've got your management fees, your insurance, your taxes. If you have a mortgage, you've got the payments. So there's two different things we want to know. What's your cash flow, net cash flow? And then what is your taxable income that these are throwing off? Because those are two different numbers with depreciation. And a lot of times people don't have a clue about what those two numbers really are. They just, I've got this rental income of $5,000 a month. I'm doing great. Well, no, what's your net cash flow? And then what's your net return on equity? What's your net return on your individual investment? Aren't these important numbers that people want to know?
100%. And because if you don't know your numbers at all, you might think you're making money, but when you're actually breaking it down, you're like, oh, wait, you know what? I'm not making money. So you kind of got to go back to the drawing board. Like, go, what is it that you need to do in order to make money? Maybe you might have to raise the rent a little bit. But I think it's very important because you hit the nail on the head. There's that facade that you're making money, but until you break it down, then like, you know what? I need to do something about this.
Yeah. So, what we did is we created a spreadsheet that calculates all those things, but I have the CPA make sure they fill in all the depreciation numbers, all of the numbers that they're supposed to be reporting on the tax return. And lots of times they lump in all the rentals at one big number so you can't get the breakdown and see which ones are profitable or not. So if they're going to do these rentals, we try to encourage the CPA and the client, okay, let's get very good clarity on the reporting and the numbers. So each property we know individually to the T, what's the return, what's the net cash flow. Sometimes you see negative cash flow, but they're taxable income. That's the last thing you want, So, so those are all the things that we really find that a lot of people jump in, they just aren't really paying attention to those kind of details.
No, yeah. And man, I would love that, by the way. If you could send that my way, that'd be No, so we bought a house here. We bought a house here in Celebration, and we actually have an apartment above the garage, so we rented that out. But with the goal, obviously, of starting to build our portfolio, and we have two daughters, so want to make sure that house is going to go to the girls. So now it's like, okay, let's build the portfolio back up again, and I definitely want to concentrate a little bit more on Celebration.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just fascinating what's happening with the Central Florida area, all over Florida. I mean, good night. If they take that the property tax away, oh my gosh, Katie bar the door, look out. It's going to be unbelievable.
It's going to be crazy. And I think at first it might be like, okay, well, wait, yeah, it's going to be an adjustment. Because like you said, well, where is the extra money going to come in from? And I don't know if if DeSantis and them, I'm assuming, yes, they have a plan for that. They should. But yeah, that will be a major game changer, not only here, but we'll set a precedence as well that now I think a lot of people will say, hey, wait a minute. If Florida can do it, why can't we?
Mm-hmm. So just as we wrap up here, what would be one major set of advice that you could give to people that are really looking to break into the real estate market? What is it that really helps people get started and keep on track?
First piece of advice, before you even call a real estate agent, call a mortgage broker. Kind of sit down with that mortgage broker and say, hey, this is how much I make. How much house can I afford? And when I mean afford, I don't mean make sure you're not house poor, meaning that if he tells you, okay, you can afford a payment of $3,000 a month. Well, what happens, obviously with emergencies coming up and if you have kids, etc. So if it's 3,000, maybe try to look for something within $1,800. But you definitely have to sit down with that lender, find out what the numbers are, and then start working on your credit. Start putting money away because, yeah, at the end of the day, I know our team, we always try to fight to get you closing costs covered. If not covered, we'll get you something. But still, you still have closing. You still have your down payment that, unfortunately, we can't help you with your down payment because the lender wants to see that because they want some skin in the game when it comes to that. Unless you fall into certain areas in the state of Florida where it's covered 100%, which that is available. But definitely sit down with the lender, kind of draw out your game plan, sit down with the family, decide where it is you want to be. And I always tell them this: remember, your first home is just that, your first home. It's to get you on the map. It's not your dream home, it's your first home. And there's nothing wrong with that. And the last piece of advice I would say is you make money when you buy, not when you sell. That's one thing I learned.
Interesting. I like that.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Omar. This has been wonderful. I really appreciate your input and your expertise.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me on the show.
All right, Omar, before you go, do you mind sharing your contact information?
Absolutely. Is this for like the people that really, really want to speak to me? Should I get them the good number or the bad number? All right. So if you guys are definitely looking in the market, we help developers as well. So you can reach us at 954-573-1391. And also when it comes to our email address, it is omar@theandreasengroup.com.
Excellent. And now, Tom, your contact info.
If you can reach us on the web at fleishelfinancial.com, or our office number is 386-738-1800, or you can Google and go on Amazon and do Clarity Confidence for Life, which is our new book that we've got released over the last year.
Excellent. Okay. And thank you for listening to the Clarity and Confidence for Life podcast. We ask you to share this podcast, rate it, and leave a review because this actually helps others find the show. Again, thank you for listening. And for everyone at Clarity and Confidence for Life, I'm RJ Malik, and we look forward to you joining us for the next podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Clarity and Confidence for Life podcast. Click the subscribe button to be notified of new episodes when they become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the hosts and/or guests and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Raymond James. This content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional financial advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service providers with any questions you may have regarding your individual situation. Securities are offered through Raymond James Financial Services Incorporated, member FINRA, and SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors Incorporated. Fleishel Financial Associates is not a broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services.